Hey, good morning and welcome back to Questioning Sense with me, Matt. How are you doing? I hope you guys are well. I hope you're getting through all this. I hope your new normal isn't completely absurd, and I hope that, you're not going mad. Well, to be honest, I am getting a bit mad, but mainly due to the weather, basically. The weather in London has been all over the place, and like much of this year that's been put on hold, it feels like summer's been put on hold as well, which is driving me mad. I've just finished, well, actually, I'm on my last day of a 7-day shift at work, and I've got a long weekend off. So I'm off Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and the Monday. And my plans were to indulge in lots of barbecuing and beer in the garden. But it doesn't look like it's going to happen. So I'm going to have to console myself with wearing lots of lovely perfume. And obviously still drinking beer and spending time with the family. So honestly, I'm not really complaining. Things are pretty good in our life at the moment. So that's all good. And I hope it is with you guys too. Now today, I'm going to do a review and talk about a perfume that's been in my life for a long time. And I think I've mentioned it before, but I'm pretty sure I haven't done a full review of it. And it is from the house of Maison Francis Kurkdjian. And it is this, APOM Homme. Now, I've been buying these samples for what seems like an eternity. If you haven't taken advantage of Maison Francis Kurkdjian samples, you really, really should. You get 4 for, I think it's like 14 euros, 12 euros or something like that. And quite often they do this thing where they chuck in an additional 2. And they come like this. They have little packets like that. And then you get a little bit of blurb about the perfume itself and then the sample in there. Now, APOM Homme is one that I've sampled over and over again, and I really, really enjoy it. This is probably my 5th or 6th sample of it, and it always goes down well, and it's a real treat to wear. So you can imagine my surprise when one of my friends on Facebook put up for sale a bottle, and I got this, which is a bottle of MFK's APOM Homme, and I got it because it didn't come with any packaging, and there's a few sprays missing. And I got it for less than half price. So thank you very much. You know who you are. This is an absolute treat, and it's been on my list for ages. So as soon as I got it, I've been wearing it an awful lot. If you've been following us on Instagram, you'll have seen that I've put it up, a photo of it up as my scent of the day quite a lot. And there's a reason for that. It's incredibly addictive stuff. And it's beautiful. Now, let's just talk a little bit about it. I'm wearing it today. I've just done the school run, so I've treated all the mums and dads to having a whiff of me through their face masks as I walk past. And it really is a lovely fragrance. So let me just tell you a little bit about it. The note listing, Richard's going to love this one because it's going to be a really easy one to type up. It's rather simple. So the notes on this are simply orange blossom, cedar, and amber. Now, it came out in 2009. Obviously, the nose behind it is Mr. Kurkdjian himself, obviously as it's from his house. Now, it's a very simplistic perfume. I'll tell you what, I'm wearing it now, but I'll have another little spray. Always a treat. So there we go. Just a word on the presentation. I love these bottles. The cap is so heavy. It's so solid. The simplistic, pretty fingerprint magnets that these bottles are just great. The sprayers are brilliant. They're very, very functional, very easy to use. 70ml or just over 70ml, I think they are. And this one, if you're to buy it full retail, I think it's about £140. So it is quite an expensive perfume, don't get me wrong, but it's not stupidly expensive. And I think it's actually pretty good value for the quality that you get. Now, what happens when you spray it? Well, first of all, this is a masculine fragrance that does lean slightly feminine, so you need to be aware of that. And it is, especially in the opening, it's a celebration of florals. You get this real strong orange blossom, which is undoubtedly the star of the show throughout this perfume's life. It never really leaves. But behind that, now there's a lot of stuff in this that isn't listed, and we're going to have to try and do a bit of detective work, or I've been trying to do a bit of detective work. So this is just what I think's in here as well. So it's not factually confirmed, and it's just what I'm getting from the perfume. But you get this blast when it opens, and it's very, very floral. You get the orange blossom, you'll notice that straight away. Now you also pick up a little tiny bit of neroli in here, and I think, obviously orange blossom and neroli are very close together in terms of how they're pretty much the same plant from what I can remember. So they are very much related. So I think you're always, not always, but quite often you're going to get a little bit of one with the other. But orange blossom is definitely the main player. It's supported by, I think, is possibly some jasmine. And a little bit of a kind of unidentified citrus just sits in there as well to give you this almost fresh-like opening. This is a powdery perfume and it celebrates it. If you don't like powdery perfumes, it's probably not going to be for you. But I think Mr. Kurkdjian is very, very good at making a floral perfume, a powdery vibe in his perfumes, especially with the floral ones. It's a little bit like Petit Matin does that as well, and that's another great one. And it is just a really sort of explosion. It's quite loud as well. It has fairly good projection, and it has a really good sillage too. So you're going to leave a wonderfully sort of intoxicating trail as you strut about doing your business. And it's very nice in the opening. As it develops, you'll get some other things start to appear. The cedar is definitely there because it gives it a nice woody base for everything to sit on, and it does start becoming quite ambery. But the sweetness of this whole thing is held together with something else that's not listed. And I think there's possibly some heliotrope in here because you do get an almost vanilla-like vibe with a kind of like an almondy note. And it's not a potent almond. You're not picking it up as almonds like, say, with Seminalis or something like that, where it's, you know, it's really obvious that there's almonds in this. There's just a slight hint of it as it dries down. Sorry, this is the one I've just sprayed, which you can see. And this is the dry down. And it becomes warm, it becomes quite dense but light at the same time. So the perfume is always quite airy, but as you get closer to it, the base becomes more of a solid base, if you like, to support all this kind of airiness on top of it. With this sort of questionable heliotrope, which I think is it. I mean, it could be tonka bean, or it may even just be a little bit of vanilla. But I'm thinking, to be honest with you, it's heliotrope that I'm picking up. Could be wrong. But it's beautiful. There's some musks start appearing as well. And I think when people are saying, like, you know, they smell a POM and they think, oh, it's a little bit feminine leaning. It is a little bit feminine leaning, especially in the opening. But come on, let's just remember, this is a perfume. Perfume to me is all unisex. And if you're wearing if you're, you know, quite a butch guy or a masculine guy and you don't want to wear, or you're a bit worried about wearing something that's slightly feminine, please don't worry about it. It's a perfume. You're not putting on lipstick or, you know, a nice dress. I mean, if you want to, go for it. But, you know, this is, you know, you're wearing a fragrance that's interesting. You're wearing a fragrance that's intoxicating. You're wearing something that extenuates you, your mood and your situation. If you're going to wear a perfume that makes you feel uncomfortable, bang, you will be uncomfortable. You'll come across as uncomfortable, and you don't want that. So, you know, this is why we test perfumes. This is why we buy samples and, you know, or get small decants of things, because I hate it when someone buys a perfume and then hates it, because it just seems such a waste of money. All right, they may be able to sell it and get some of that money back, but it's a process you could do without. So please, especially when you can get samples from MFK so easily and so affordably, because I think they even take, if you buy your samples from them and then you buy your perfume later, they'll take the money that you spent on your samples off the price of the bottle. So it's a really good system, and one that you should definitely explore. But yeah, it is slightly feminine leading in the opening. But again, I think that's a really good thing, because generally when I get compliments from the opposite sex, it's normally when I'm wearing a slightly feminine leading perfume. You'll always find, for me personally anyway, that women seem to be more interested in a perfume that I'm wearing that is kind of unisex, or very unisex, or maybe even slightly more feminine in point. It seems to be more of a conversation starter, and people do seem to like that. You know, on the other side, I've worn very masculine perfumes and had compliments as well. So, you know, there's no hard and fast rule to it. But I do think if you've got a perfume that you like to wear that leans both feminine and masculine, fine, go for it. If you're happy wearing it and you're comfortable wearing it, then wear it and don't worry about it. The performance on this is excellent. The projection is pretty good. The sillage is excellent as well. This is a very long-lasting perfume on me. Some people have said it's not so much so, but I've been wearing this to work a lot, and I can smell it very easily when I come home from work. So it's got me through a shift at work, no problem at all. So I would put this down as a very long-lasting perfume, especially for a light floral perfume, which it is in the opening. For it to have that performance, I think, is an excellent one. It suits me all year round. I've worn this in the winter and it's beautiful, and I've worn this in the summer and it works perfectly well. The performance doesn't seem to drop off when it's hot. In fact, it seems to come alive. So that in itself is good. If you are a fan of Reflection Man from Amouage, I think they're very similar, especially in the dry down. I think they become quite a lot alike. I get much better performance from APOM, which is why I have a bottle of it now and I don't have a bottle of Reflection Man. I do like Reflection Man. If anything, I'd say APOM is probably not as sweet as Reflection Man. So, you know, it's well worth considering that. And obviously I get much better performance from APOM than I do from Reflection Man. Not knocking Reflection Man, I think it's a beautiful fragrance, but I do prefer APOM. Also, obviously Francis Kurkdjian was involved with Jean-Paul Gaultier and has made quite a few fragrances for him before starting out as Maison Francis Kurkdjian. So I think you're going to pick up some similarities with APOM to some of his earlier works in the, you know, the Le Mal collection. I think Fleur de Mal was obviously made by Francis Kurkdjian. A lot of people say it's similar. I actually get some similarities to this, to Le Mal, the original one. I think they are slightly similar. If you spray them side by side, they'll be completely different, but you will pick up on the same sort of vibe. I also think that Francis Kurkdjian has learned, like a lot of perfumers do, they go back in time and look at previous perfumes that have inspired them or they've liked, and you'll kind of get a vibe of Le Caron Pour Homme from this as well. It doesn't, again, I've tried them side by side and they're not that similar, but there is a vibe there. And I think there could be this sort of vibe that ties a lot of French perfumery together, this sort of classic smells with a little powderiness and things like that. I think, you know, a lot of that's come from this. But honestly, I think this is an excellent fragrance. When I was sampling it the first few times, I had this down as very much a formal fragrance, and I thought it would be one that I would only really wear when I've been sort of dressed up and stuff. But I found that there's a fun side to this as well. I enjoy wearing this sort of casually. I've worn it to the pub. Remember them when we used to go to the pub? I know they're open now, but it's all slightly different. And I've yet to go for a pint, put it that way. So hopefully maybe this weekend I'll pluck up the courage to go and have a couple of beers with some mates. And get back into that. And this will be perfect for it, because there's something, I know obviously wearing a perfume is often a state of mind, and you know, if you think you're smart, you will come across as smart, and if you're wearing a perfume and you think it's formal in a formal scenario or a formal setting, it becomes a formal fragrance. But when I wore this to the pub, I mean, I didn't have the bottle then, I was just wearing it as a sample. It went down really well. Lots of people were interested in what I was wearing and it felt great. You know, there is a fun side to this fragrance and I think it can be worn anywhere. It's a perfect fragrance for work. If you're office based, go a little easy on the sprays because you don't want to fog out the office, but it will go down well at work. There's nothing offensive there. It's a nice fragrance. People like the smell of it. It's a crowd pleaser, basically. It sort of does a lot of jobs. You know, it makes you feel good and people around you will like how you smell. So that has to be applauded. And that has to be another sort of, you know, string in the bow of APOM. I'm not quite sure why it's, APOM stands for a part of me. No idea why, but it's interesting anyway. It's a little bit of background to the fragrance. This is really good. I don't think it gets the love it deserves. I don't think it gets the recognition it does. And I think a lot of the other fragrances from Maison Francis Kurkdjian, especially Petit Matin and Amaris, the EDP, are really, really good fragrances. You know, everyone talks about Baccarat Rouge, they all talk about Oud Satin Mood and Oud Silk Mood or Oud, and they're all phenomenal fragrances, don't get me wrong. I think have a look at some of the others though. Especially have a look at APOM, I think it's fabulous. There is a female version of it as well, I think APOM Perfume, but I've not smelt that one. So that's another one on my list of samples to order. And also Petit Matin, that's going to be my next one from MFK. So as soon as I see a bottle of Petit Matin come up at a decent price, I'm going to pounce on that too. But I'm really, really happy to have this in my collection and I'm really, really enjoying it. So apologies for the Instagram followers out there because you're going to see a lot more of this because I can't stop wearing it at the moment. It's just, it's such a beautiful fragrance and it just, I don't know, it's clean, it's smart, it's refined, it gives you a little bit of gravitas, it gives you, you know, you come across as very much a dignified chap. It is one for the young thrusters and it is one for the grizzly old fragrance enthusiasts as well. So all ages can wear this and, you know, all sexes can wear this, definitely. And everyone should enjoy it, provided you like a bit of a powdery fragrance. So there you have it, my take on MFK Pomme Pour Homme, a fabulous fragrance. Thank you for your time. I've got, I wasn't actually meant to be reviewing this. I've got a long list of reviews stacked up, and this was kind of halfway down the list, but because I'm wearing it so much, I thought I better talk about it. So I hope I've bored you with this, because this is it's a great frag. Oh, sorry, I forgot to show you that, but look at that. I love that. That's fabulous. Anyway, I've prattled on for quite a while. Have a wonderful day, and we will see you on the next video. And as soon as there's another couple of, I'm just waiting on something to arrive actually, because I want to try and do another sort of, not a top 10, but a kind of a numerous fragrances in one review. So hopefully keep your eyes open for that, and it will be centering on amber based fragrances. So keep your eyes peeled for that, and obviously the normal reviews will keep coming. So listen, thank you very much for your feedback. It's been love sort of engaging with you guys on Instagram and obviously on the YouTube channel. Put your comments up. I love sort of going through them, and it's nice to have a bit of a chat with you guys, find out a bit more about you as well. So again, I'm not really taking sort of requests on reviews at the moment because of, we've been in lockdown. I've been doing so much research and buying so many new perfumes and getting so many samples and decants. I've got literally about 100 videos to make. It's really sort of drowning in reviews. And obviously with the amount of time that I'm spending at work and Rich is spending at work, just getting the time to get these out is proving to be a challenge, but a good fun challenge, and a challenge that we are up to. So listen guys, thank you very much for your time. I will see you on the next video. Cheers, thanks, and bye.